I don't just talk about other people's stuff, I also make my own. Books in particular. To date, I have 4 books you can check out on Amazon. Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and the short story collection Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Hop on down to the description for Amazon links to all 4 books. Enjoy whichever ones you read, and enjoy the video.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Omni viewer, and I saw this guy while I was at Target today. The new version of Playmates' SHIN Godzilla figure. You may recall that back when Playmates first got the license, they released a different kind of SHIN Godzilla figure as part of their initial line, which is now called the Toho series, which is not based on the Monsterverse. But that figure, well, it wasn't very well received. Not only was it considered a really bad figure in its own right, but a lot of people also thought it looked suspiciously like NECA's Shin Godzilla figure, particularly with the size of the head compared to the rest of the body. Playmates, of course, always denied this, but people have always just sort of stuck with the idea that it must have been stolen anyway. Well, I never actually got that first Playmate Shin Godzilla or any of those first wave classic Godzilla figures because they were bad. Like, I'm not usually a snob when it comes to collectibles, but I took one look at all of those things from Space Godzilla to the Final Wars Gigan and everything, and I thought, no, I don't think I want those. Thankfully, of course, they have been improving. I mean, you look at the Playmates figures for Rodan and Jet Jaguar. Okay, they're not perfect. Like Jet Jaguar, not stable. Rodan, the head's a little off, but the detail, attention to detail, and overall sculpt is much better. Then we get to Shin Godzilla here, and oh boy. All right, now, in some ways, in some ways, the figure is better than what came before. The head, for example, is more accurate. It's still made of hard plastic as opposed to vinyl, but it doesn't look as plasticky. But other than that, I mean, oh my word. Okay, so like, as far as articulation goes, you can turn the head, you can move the arms, you can move the legs, rotate the feet, rotate the tail here at the midpoint. The joint where the tail connects to the body has a little bit of give, but I haven't been able to move it actually yet. But I mean, if you look at how this guy is, it's not pretty. I mean, even knowing that Shin Godzilla was designed to be ugly, this is not an exceptionally good figure. I mean, I get it, okay? Shin Godzilla is not an easy design to work with because all of his proportions are in the extreme. Everything about him is either too big or too small. There is nothing moderate about anything you see here. But even taking that into account, it just nothing about this figure looks right. The skin is way too smooth for the most part, and where they add the paint to try and make it look like he has the red innards that are glowing through the grooves in his skin. I mean, you can see for yourself, he's got these huge red patches on his legs that look actually more like wounds than anything else. He's got some painted rings on his tails, but only in spaces of 3, and they don't even wrap all the way around the tail. The weird portion at the end seems way too big, so they fixed the head, but not that part. The spines actually look okay, but everything else, I mean, oh, the eyes are also a little bit wonky. This eye looks like it's kind of sliding off his face, which might just be on this figure. And this is sort of a weird thing to bring up, but this version of Shin Godzilla is apparently given a tongue, even though Shin Godzilla doesn't have a tongue in the movie. It's not a good looking figure. And when I saw it in the store, I was also wondering about that pose. Because obviously, Shin Godzilla never strikes a pose like this in the movie. He can't move his legs like that. But it seemed a little familiar. It wasn't until I got home that I realized I had seen it before. It's the same pose as the 2014 Godzilla, which is not part of the Toho series, but part of the MonsterVerse line. The only difference is that the heads are angled a little differently, and of course, the tails are a little different. And I'm kind of confused as to why they did that. Because, I mean, it's not like they're repainting these two. These are completely different sculpts right here. Nothing is recycled, so why give them that same pose? Is it in reference to how they were both the first Godzillas of their respective eras? This one for the MonsterVerse era, this one for the Reiwa era? I have no idea, but it's just odd. Okay, so is this a figure worth getting? I mean, like I said, it looks more accurate in some ways than the last time they tried. But man, this figure is a mulligan if ever I saw one. Shin Godzilla is not an easy figure to do, and if you're trying to do these figures for cheap, obviously you're going to have to cut corners somewhere. But as far as what Playmates did with this guy, it just ain't right. I can't recommend this one. I'm not even saying that as somebody who isn't overly fond of Shin Godzilla. Even if I did like Shin Godzilla, this would not be a good figure. So, yeah, that's my assessment. Don't bother with this guy if you see him in the store. Save your money for one of the others. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.
Congratulations, you reached the end. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to consider supporting us on Patreon. Of course, the other way to support us is to go to Amazon and check out our books, Operation Red Dragon, The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, The Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Also check the description for links to DeviantArt and other platforms we operate. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.